Hello everybody, welcome into the Tuesday Night Thunder Season 2 Championship race live here at Talladega Superspeedway on Ghost Racing Network. It's the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series, and man, I'll tell you what, we got a good one for you in store tonight. If you missed the rest of the season, it doesn't matter. You're going to want to tune into this race right here. It is going to be crazy. Joining me in the booth tonight, as he has most of the season, Dawson Wise. Dawson, I'm telling you, I am excited. How you feeling for tonight?
Oh boy, I'm amped. If you watched last week's race, it was quite the hectic ending to that one, and it set the stage really, really nicely for tonight. We got a lot of guys going for some huge payouts and some team battles going on as well.
Getting right into your starting grid here tonight, Ken McCall Jr. is going to get the pole. He is one of the guys fighting for that championship purse here tonight. Starting on his outside, it's going to be NBG's Cody Nagels. Teammate Sean Hill and Jeff Merck start back in row 2. Matt Lee in 5th. John Ellis Jr., regular season champion, went home with the big money last week, starts in 6th, looking to go home with some more this week. Matthew Baker will roll off 7th. He's got Dylan Jones to his outside in 8th. And running at your top 10, Garrett Maines making his return tonight, and Gabe Butler on the outside.
David Sheets rolls from 11th with Jason Maines to his outside in 12th. John Mullahan will roll from 13th, Mark Vondell in 14th. Ryan Baste goes from 15th with Brandon Broadfoot, the last guy to take a time. Last 5 trucks in the field, Andrew Navarro 17th, Daniel Eberhard 18th, Brock Westmoreland 19th, Chris McCullough 20th, and Mike Davenport rounding out what is going to be a very stacked field.
Looking at your race info, interestingly enough, Dawson, just a quick note for everybody out there, the Xfinity cars from what we heard pre-race should be getting an update, so look forward to what we could see next season from those. But either way, track conditions here to get this thing rolling here tonight. 79 degrees outside, 44% humidity, partly cloudy skies, winds at 8 miles an hour, track length as always 2.65 miles, 103 degrees, the starting track temp not too hot, handling shouldn't be too much of an issue. Championship race format is as follows: 75 laps, 100% fuel, unlimited tires, 1 fast repair, and there will be a stage break at lap 25. Here we go. Pace car rolls off, salutes the field as we get ready to go green for the final time here in Season 2, the Tuesday Night Thunder Series. Ken McCall Jr. on the inside, Cody Nagels on the outside. We are racing at Talladega. Green flag in the air.
Back with you here, lap number 2 at Talladega. Opening lap showing some different strategies. The Maines boys, including your regular season champion, John Ellis Jr., going to the back early on in this one. Not normal for what we're used to out of those guys, but alas, some different strategies. We're going to see how that pans out for him. Obviously, a really long race, 75 laps. And on the opposite end of the spectrum, who's surprised? NBG Motorsports has made their way to the front. They follow Kenny McCullough. Only 3 trucks on the outside. Hill, Nagels, and Merck headed back to turn number 3.
Yeah, 2 different strategies. Aggressive for the NBG team and a little bit more conservative for the Maines boys, but we got to set the stage for you, and we certainly did that last week, as you noted, Dawson, with, NBG, they didn't feel too happy with the way they felt the Maines raced them at the end of the race, and they showed their displeasure throughout differing things throughout the week. Discord was certainly a heated room after. The Maines boys felt like they raced NBG the same way they always get raced. Point is, these 2 teams, they did not agree on just about anything coming in here tonight, so eventually they're going to have to get close to each other, Dawson, if somebody's going to win the big money here tonight, and that is going to make things very, very interesting, as Ken McCall Jr. doesn't have too many teammates around right now. In fact, he's trapped pretty much with all NBG guys behind him. There's David Sheets in the 06, back about 5 rows deep on the inside. That is one of Ken's teammates, but right now the 03 out in front and all alone.
And kind of surprising, I'm going to be honest. When I came into tonight, I was amped up. I thought we were going to see a lot of 3-4 wide racing all night. These guys are going to be on edge, just kind of get up on the wheel, elbows out. But boy, we're singling out. I have never seen this, at least not recently, in any kind of money racing. These guys are all single file most of the way back through the field, just going to try to log laps. And I don't know, this is odd, an odd sense of calm, but I guess they're saving all the energy for after that stage break.
Yeah, odd to say the least. I certainly didn't expect this coming in, like I said, with what we saw last week. Maybe everybody's timid of each other. They think that everybody's so mad at each other, they're trying to cut each other breaks. But again, at some point, it's not going to last. Again, the first stage break here at lap 25, I think action will pick up at least at some point before then. It's just a matter of when. Now, notice some of the guys with the yellow banners are some of your championship runners. Not all of them. There are some guys without it. But in general, we have 21 trucks in the field tonight, and 16 out of those 21 are all guys that are running for that championship purse here tonight. The other 5 are guys just running for the regular payouts, and they're certainly going to throw their hand into the mix late in the going. Looks like one of the guys trying to get things stirred up here early is Andrew Navarro. He's going to get a couple of the aggressive guys to try the strategy with them. Looks like Daniel Eberhardt jumps to the outside, and Brandon Broadfoot in the 22. I'll tell you what, Dawson, they talk about a dark horse, a pick that you would get to win, and I think my dark horse here tonight would have to be Brandon Broadfoot in the 22 machine. How cool would it see for him to get his first win here tonight in the championship race? Saw him get a second place earlier this season, and we know he knows how to run up here with the big guys.
Oh, yeah, and he's not the only dark horse. I think my dark horse pick personally is the guy I'm pretty sure is running right behind him, Ryan Baste. I think he's been on a tear recently. I've seen him win some races. He seems to win a lot of the races I call, ironically enough. But how cool would it be for him to as well get a win tonight, get the championship, and kind of take the focus off the two teams that we're going to be focusing on all night. Those guys fly under the radar so easily as Navarro, Eberhardt, Broadfoot, and Baste. They are there, and they're going to press the issue here. Lap 5 headed to lap 6 back into turn number 1.
Tell you who another cool, I don't know if I call him a dark horse at this point, but another really cool winner to see tonight would be Mark Fondell. Remember, got his first win earlier this season in the race that, of course, we weren't broadcasting, unfortunately, but whenever you get a win in a season that's, I would say, relatively short here for the Tuesday Night Thunder Series, it gives you so much momentum, and Mark knows that he's got all the talent in the world to get it done tonight. It's just going to be about keeping the truck clean, making it to the end, and if you get to the end, well, then you got to throw a little bit of luck into the pot as well. But if things all can go right, we could see the 59 from McCall Motorsports going home with the grand prize of $500 here tonight. We'll have to find out.
Yeah, we will, and Mark is certainly a talented enough guy to get it done. Obviously, winning that Tuesday race a couple weeks ago is a big help to him. We know he can do it. These guys have to respect it now. I mean, you have to be able to respect, okay, Mark can win a race. He can get up here, he can get in front of us and duke it out with the big boys. So, I don't know, you got a lot of guys in this field that maybe the big guys overlook, but in the end, I don't know, they could be walking away with the biggest purse, and some of them are coming to the front as we speak, and Brandon Broadfoot's certainly one of them, like you mentioned. How about Brandon Broadfoot running up here in the top 6? He said, I don't want to wait anymore. I'm going to the front, and I'm gonna run up here, try to get myself some decent track position.
Yeah, and right now he's kind of the safety net for those two guys on the outside, Daniel Eberhardt and Andrew Navarro, that is. If he fades off and drops back, those two will not last much longer. I'm surprised nobody else has kind of been drawn to the strategy at 100% fuel. I don't see fuel being an issue for the first stage. So again, just more of the reason that I'm so surprised to see everybody being this conservative for this long, this early. Again, everybody does have that one fast repair, so maybe they're thinking we're going to see a lot of cautions towards the end. We'll have to see, but let's real quick. We normally save this for the end, but we need to talk about it early. As there goes Brandon Broadfoot sliding down to the inside line. It's going to ditch Eberhardt and Navarro. Good, strong move there from the 22, but Dawson, look at these championship payouts. This is guaranteed. This is for those champions 16. 50% of that field, the 16 guys, is going to be going home with money here tonight. Let's look at it. First place, $500. Second, third, $300. Third place going home with $200. So is fourth at $200. Fifth, $200. And sixth at $200. Seventh going to be going home with $150. And eighth going to be going home with $125. And then, of course, plus bonus payouts tonight. Just the normal pot of the race. I think that might still be what it's at as well here if we have the 25 entries at 200, 150, 150, and 50. So, I mean, if that all holds true as it stands, you win this race and you're one of the championship guys. You could be going home with $700 here tonight. And if you're John Ellis Jr., you win that, you made yourself over $1,000 here just in the last week.
Yeah, not only that, but also you got to remember the reason we're talking about those teams is because if they can come home with multiple of those money spots and get several of the top 5 spots in the race, you start racking those numbers up. That's it begins to be a eye-boggling number when it comes to how much money a team could go home with tonight. Like, for example, you see the Mains boys have, I believe, 5 in the field tonight. NBG's got 5 in the field tonight. So, and all 5 of the NBG trucks, I know for sure, are in that running for, at least as far as I know. Maybe Matt Lee is not, but even with 4, I mean, you just got to think about the fact that one of those teams could go home with over $1,000 plus the race payouts, and then obviously John Ellis with that $600 last week. It's a lot of money, and I think that's why these guys are saving their trucks, because they know this week they have to be there at the end if they want to win that. And no surprise, these guys are just going to log laps, but don't look away. It's going to get good here pretty soon.
Now, Andrew Navarro leading that inside line. I think Ken McCall Jr. is probably pretty content at the moment. Again, Andrew is one of the handful of guys in here tonight that is not running for the championship purse. Everhart and Broadfoot, who you see on the outside, they are in, maybe a little bit of a mistake there, or potentially trying to open the door as Brandon Broadfoot by trying to maybe help Everhart here when Everhart doesn't have anyone to work with. Maybe trying to buy himself a favor for later on in the race, but looks like Everhart ready to go to the back. Navarro jumps up top too. A very, very odd look. Again, now it looks like Navarro's ready to fall to the back. It almost looked like they were maybe just testing the waters right there to see how quickly they could get to the front. Unfortunately for Brandon, this is going to strand him all alone on the outside. We'll see if anybody chooses to let him in.
I mean, sure doesn't look like it to me. Now I think he's found a home there, about 8 trucks back on the inside line behind NBG Motorsports. As no wonder they're content to run, because they're going to be 2nd through 6th now that we've cycled back through with Kenny in the lead. I'm almost wondering, and go with me here, Austin, I don't know if they're saving gas. I don't know how that would benefit anyone, but it certainly looks like what Alex Hill is doing. I mean, he's riding so far behind the pack. I'm not sure if maybe he's just keeping himself from running over his teammate, or if they're trying to save gas. I'm not sure why they would be, but it's certainly what it looks like to me.
Well, the thing about all these guys is, I mean, we know it, Dawson. We've seen it. We've done it before. It's all about strategy the entire race. You're always sitting there in the back of your head thinking about fuel, and maybe here, if everybody's single file, save as much fuel as you can here, and then on this pit stop at the stage, maybe flip the track position, get a little bit more, and, we could see some pit stops just before that stage break. Again, it would be somewhere around a 45-lap shootout to the finish after we get that scheduled caution and go back green. These trucks cannot make it that far on fuel, however, it would be a solid 1 stop. And a lot of times, a lot of the big hitters, such as the Mains boys, probably, I would say they're the most well-known for it. They love the idea of flipping the stage, getting that track position after the stage is over by pitting just before it. So we'll see if they think about maybe trying that strategy here. But yeah, right now, up front, Ken McCall Jr., and then just a swarm of NVG drivers. Matt Lee, Matthew Baker, Sean Hill, Jeff Merck. And then rounding out the NVG crew is Cody Nagels in that 6th machine. They did bring heavy duty, a big team here tonight. The other big team we're talking about, actually, there's 3 of them. Of course, McCall Motorsports, we know, but we're kind of used to them. The Mains boys, they're the guys that added a couple extra horsepower tonight, if you will, in the sense of they brought on Garrett Maines, making the return to the field tonight, and Daniel Everhart and Andrew Navarro. I think they're kind of wild cards. They might kind of lean a certain way with teams, but we're not really sure up here. That'll be anybody's guess, and that's certainly going to throw more into the mix, as Everhart is running for a championship himself, but he's probably going to need some help, so where's he going to get it?
I don't know, because, I mean, how willing are the Mains boys going to be to help Daniel Eberhard if he ends up in front late in the going here? I don't know how willing you're going to be to sit behind him and push him when the push comes to shove, and maybe you want to keep that money for yourself, but no, it's going to be really interesting to see how these team dynamics play out tonight. Obviously, we know how a few of the teams are going to lean. I mean, you can obviously tell by the trucks 2nd through 6th, they all look the same. You know how they're gonna race tonight, and they've kind of shown their hand already. They're going to run up front like they usually do. It's no surprise that they've decided to just come to the front. It really is surprising to me, and I think I said this earlier, that the Mains boys went to the back. I'm so used to seeing Garrett and Jason and John Ellis and Daniel Eberhart run at the front of the field that them going to the back just seems so odd to me. Even though it makes sense, it's still very, very weird to see that team running all the way at the tail end of the field.
Yeah, it is for now, but again, not going to stay that way. I think there is going to be a lot of big blocks. 3, potentially 4 wide in the last lap tonight is going to be the craziest last lap that we will see all season. I can almost guarantee it. But 11 laps to go now here in stage 1, the only stage of the race, and it's still Ken McCall Jr. out in front. In fact, let's go through the field here, and again, just talk about some of these guys that are in your championship race, or that are in the championship 16, if you will. And starting us off is Ken McCall Jr., again, one of the veterans of money racing. No surprise to see him in the lead, and no surprise to see him making it into that championship purse range. And, you know, he's got a lot of talent when it comes to super speedways. He knows how to lead a field, even if he doesn't have teammates, but he's also got himself some great teammates in the field tonight. Other guys that are also running in the championship. Matt Lee came onto the season a little bit late, so he is not one of the guys running for the championship, but he is one of the NBG guys, and he knows how to run very fast at a lot of these tracks. It's Matthew Baker, another one of the NBG guys in third. Had a chance at it last week. Things didn't quite go his way. He was not happy, and he was vocal about it. But he's looking to have a good rebound this week. See what he can do. Sean Hill back in the 77 machine. Has the reputation for being one of the most aggressive guys in the series. And, man, it has paid off throughout this season. He finds himself well in that championship battle tonight, looking to see if he can go home with the most money. Jeff Merck, he's another one of the guys in the championship. In fact, one of the last two for NBG. And then Cody Nagels just behind him in sixth. Another great season. They got 4 out of 5 of their drivers you see in the field tonight in the championship. And Cody Nagels going to be playing the support role as of right now. He's the caboose of that NBG train. There's Brandon Broadfoot. Kind of your dark horse pick. Currently sits in 7th, but already up 9 from where he started. He's one of those guys where he doesn't have a big team to work with. He just kind of does it mostly by himself. Gets a little bit of help here and then from some of the other smaller guys, such as Ryan Baste. And, you know, when we say smaller guys, Dawson, we're not saying that they don't have equal talent level. We're saying it more in the sense that they just don't have the team and resources that we see with the big three, such as McCall Motorsports, NBG Motorsports, and, of course, the Mains crew. And so you throw everybody else into the mix, it makes the challenge a lot harder. But Ryan Bass currently sitting in that 8th position. Just behind him, Dawson, sits David Sheets. Give us a little update on David.
Yeah, David Sheets obviously running for McCullough Motorsports as far as we know. What a great season it's been for David Sheets. It is so cool to see him running well, and he's running well tonight. He's got a teammate behind him in the form of John Mullihan, but David Sheets well in this championship fight. Obviously got a teammate up front, got some teammates behind him. Sheets is a very, very, how should I put this? He's reliable. He's consistent. You know what you're going to get out of him. He's not going to go and wreck a bunch of trucks. He's going to keep the truck clean. He knows how to make the right move, to be in position at the right time. So good to see David Sheets in the championship. He runs in 9th position right now. Behind him, like I was saying, John Mullihan. He's one of the guys that can go up there and win every now and then. And tonight, he's got a huge opportunity. Obviously, some teammates in the field, but he would love to go get that payout as well. He may feel a little bit forgotten right now with the big two teams that we're talking about. Do not forget about John Mullihan. He's definitely not worth talking down on, forgetting about. He's certainly going to be in this one as well. Behind him, the Dale Cup entry, Gabe Butler. No teammates tonight for Gabe, but a lot of guys that may be willing to work with him when it comes down to it. So good to see Gabe Butler in that Dale Cup entry. He runs 11th right now, a little further back behind John Mullihan, as he looks for a big championship for him. This would be a big night for him if he could go get the championship. And then we go back a little bit further, and that's where you find Andrew Navarro.
And Navarro, not one of the guys in the championship running, but again, has a strong showing whenever he's out here. Daniel Eberhardt just behind him. Daniel, another one of the solo hitters, seeing what he can make work tonight. Sometimes able to bounce around teams a little bit, try to work with the guys he feels most comfortable with at the moment. And right now he sits in that 13th position, but he's been all around, front, back, anything in between. Still a lot of laps to go. Mark Von Dell back in 14th position. No gain or loss so far for the 59 machine. I think he is the final McCall Motorsports driver running in the field tonight. Yep, certainly is. Again, talked about Mark has a win this season in the Tuesday Night Thunder Series, having a good run so far, and I take that back. He's not the last McCall Motorsports driver. We'll get to the other one just a moment. Brock Westmoreland in the 4 machine, another one of those dark horse picks. We'll see what he can do tonight. Was able to sneak in to the top 16 just at the end, making the last transfer spot. And, man, he has definitely got to be the underdog pick here tonight. Christopher McCall in the 04, looking to get up, see if he can help his teammates. Trying to get the outside working right now. Can't seem to get much out of it. But he continues to side draft, basing himself off the checkups from the inside line to propel himself forward. Garrett Mange, John Ellis Jr., Dylan Jones, Mike Davenport, Jason Maines. Some of those guys in the championship battle, but they are all sitting at the back of the field at the moment. And that's all the time we had there to go over, people. So we're going to head right back up front now, where we still find Ken McCall Jr. in the lead. No change there. And we're coming up now on 5 laps left in the stage. And, you know, Dawson, I don't think we're going to really see much movement until that last lap. And I think it's either going to be we see a lot of guys pit, or we see a lot of guys all of a sudden try to make that second and third lane get working. But right now, they stay single file as they go down through turns 1 and 2.
Yeah, there's not much incentive to the stage tonight. It's not like last week where that stage is doubled and we have a bunch of bonuses to give out at the stage break and obviously leading a lap. And there's nothing like that tonight. You just got to finish in the top 8 of the championship, so it's really not surprising we haven't seen much movement yet. But I think you're right. As we get closer to the end of the stage, you already see Eberhard and Navarro a little further back starting to make their way forward. As these guys are not really, falling asleep at the wheel in line, but they're certainly not pushing very hard. And Eberhard, Navarro, they're going to take advantage. They're flying on the outside of the racetrack. They're going to try to make it happen. It's going to be 4 to go in stage 1 when they get back here, and they may be in the lead by the time they get back up here.
The one thing that stage does give you an advantage of if you are to stay up front is, of course, track position for that final, not really a sprint. It's still a decent run at 45 laps or so. But you can tell some guys are really going to want that track position as we see Daniel Eberhard and Andrew Navarro. They saw the NBG guys jump up, chose not to take them 3 wide, instead pushed, and that has allowed Matthew Baker and Matt Lee to now take the lead. Again, Lee not in the championship 16. So as they run right now, it would be Baker versus Eberhard fighting for the $500 prize. And Navarro, of course, who's pushing Eberhard. I think those two might be working together tonight, Dawson. We've already seen them working pretty good as well. And, maybe Daniel and Navarro cut a little deal. Hey, man, I know you're not in the championship, but if you can help me get it done, I'll give you a little cut of that pay I receive at the end of the night. We'll have to see, but it certainly looks like the 42 and the 90 plan on going forward together, at least at this point throughout the race. And NBG has now put Ken McCall Jr. in, I would say, an uncomfortable position, to say the least. He's kind of in a sandwich there of NBG guys. Right in the middle, he's got 2 in front, 2 behind, and now we're going to see Matt Lee go to the top. And I know it's early, Dawson, but we're starting to get just a little glimpse of what we're going to see towards the end of this race with controlling lanes.
Well, and who else to start but NBG Motorsports, right? I mean, they're certainly the most aggressive group we have on the racetrack. And the mains guys sitting back there, 17th, 18th, 19th, they're looking up here at these boys at the front thinking, oh, boy, I'm glad I'm not in the middle of that, because it is one wrong move and this goes wrong. And all of a sudden we got a bunch of championship guys that are maybe without their extra truck. So we'll see how it goes. Nothing too extreme yet, just guys pushing a little bit, trying to get some track position. But obviously, as we get closer and closer, 2 laps to go on the stage, I think you're going to see more and more guys move up. The lanes are going to get clogged. You're going to have to go to the wall, and then we may get a little bit crazy. 2 laps to go in stage 1.
We're going to make sure we pay close attention to the exit of turn 4 this lap, and of course next lap, the white flag lap of the stage, because that is when you are going to see pit stops if they're going to occur. The question is, who's going to go in? I kind of have my bet on the mains group right now, especially with as far back as they are. I think if you don't see them make a charge this lap right here, Dawson, I think it either means we're going to see them go to the pits this lap or next lap. I don't think they have any plans to go get in the mix right now. They want to save all those trucks and the fast pair that comes with it for the end of this race. But how about Daniel Eberhard with another surge on the outside, the 22 of Brandon Broadfoot? He has been kind of the trio to that duo for the most part here tonight, trying to help get them to the front. It seems like it's been working well, but overall, the outside line has not been quite as strong as we usually see it. And here we go, out back. Looks like we're going to get some pit stops. And guess who it is? It's 2 of the mains crew, Dylan Jones and Jason Maines. They bring it down to the pits. But surprisingly here, Dawson, a couple of the mains guys stay out, Garrett and John.
Yeah, it may have been planned by design to do that. I don't know if they just didn't want to attract too much attention back there and get these leaders' attention. Maybe they wanted to just have those guys peel off quietly and not attract, the attention that a 4-wide move to pit road would bring. Maybe you'll see the other 2 guys pit this time. Maybe you won't. I don't know. Some kind of split communication there down the back straightaway, though, all NBG up front, and would not be surprised if Matt Lee just stays up in front. They're going to be 2 wide teammates at the front coming to the stage break.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised at all right here if the other mains guys do decide to pit. Let's see. 3 wide move on the outside. Here goes Brandon Broadfoot, Christopher McCall. They want to get a little racy for it. Out back, yep, there goes Garrett. He peels off. John stays on the track, but through the tribal, it's going to be a race between NBG at the line, though. Matthew Baker is going to win your final stage of the season. Matt Lee brings it home in second. Ken McCall Jr. finishing in that 3rd spot. Daniel Eberhard 4th. Actually, yep, Daniel Eberhard 4th, and Sean Hill sneaking into that final top 5 position. I'll tell you what, I'm surprised that John Ellis Jr. did not pit. We saw every single one of his teammates come down. Jason, Dylan, and Garrett. They're all going to flip the stage, but yeah, John did not pit. Again, really shocked on that, Dawson. I mean, do you make anything of the strategy on that?
It could be two things. It either could be, maybe Ellis wants to stay at the back and just kind of continue to save his truck. Maybe he's still feeling pretty conservative, whereas his teammates, may want to flip it on its head, go to the front, and I don't know, maybe John Ellis just wasn't ready, or I don't know if it was maybe some hesitation. Maybe he was going to make the move, was like, I don't know, maybe I'll stay on the racetrack, and the second you start to hesitate, you lose your opportunity. You got to make that decision quick. He doesn't. He stays on the racetrack. We'll see if it's by design or not.
Well, he found a way to get the win last week, so I'm certainly not questioning any of his decisions this week. But Matthew Baker and Matt Lee winning the stage, they're all going to have to come in for fuel, maybe take some tires here. And then looking at it, there should only be one more pit stop from here, but I think we're probably going to see some cautions to break this thing up. Going further towards the back after the mains crew who all pitted. Mike Davenport rounding out the field. Brock Westmoreland looks like your lowest running non-pitted championship contender at the moment, and some of your biggest movers through the field as of right now. Daniel Eberhardt through that stage up 14 positions. Navarro in a close second at up 11 spots. And unfortunately, the guys that went in the wrong direction were the mains crew as they did pit. Dylan Jones down 11, Jason down 8, and Garrett down 12. But we're going to see them back at the front before this thing's all said and done. So, as these guys all come down, get their 4 tires and fuel the full service, we're going to take a quick break. We'll go side by side so you don't miss a thing. Stick with us. We'll be right back at Talladega.
Ghost Racing Network now has merch. Go to grnmerch.com to browse our selections from stickers to custom-made by-request hoodies and shirts. If you've ever wanted to support Ghost Racing Network outside of YouTube, here's your chance. Ghost Racing Network, for the scary side of iRacing.
Back live at Talladega Superspeedway, Stage 1 complete. 28 of 75 laps complete. If you're just tuning in, we thank you for being here. Dawson Wise and Austin Green in the booth here on Ghost Racing Network, watching the championship race for the Tuesday Night Thunder Series here at Talladega, and the NASCAR Craftsman Truck Series. Dawson, we talked about it over break, some weird shakeups, and the feel of this race in general has kind of been odd. We've been watching the whole season. It's been broadcasted here on Ghost Racing Network every race just about, except a couple at the start, and none of them have went the way this one has so far. I mean, single file for basically the entire first stage. The groups that we saw pitting just before that stage, Garrett was the only one of them that actually stayed outright here to gain the track position. We thought Gabe Butler was staying out. Looks like he decides to go back. It's just really odd split on these strategies right now, Dawson.
I don't get it. I really don't. I figured these guys were going to be, like I said, up on the wheel, elbows out from lap 1, right from the jump for all 75 laps. I thought we were going to be on the edge of our seats just waiting for them to pile up, and instead they've just gone the complete opposite direction. And when you look at who's in this group of guys and how they typically race, it's just so unorthodox. I don't understand. It's certainly not a bad thing that they want to save their trucks, but surprising to say the least, at least when you consider the names that are in this race.
Now, NBG got a little broken up here. You see Ryan Baste, he's up there. Jason Maines, Broadfoot on the inside, a couple rows back. And then Garrett Maines, of course, leading. So that could make things a little more aggressive. Had a ton of guys come in to top off on fuel right there, but that may have just been the calm before the storm there, what we saw throughout Stage 1. I think action's going to pick up pretty quick, and at a certain point, guys decide that they want to be in the lead for whatever happens, and it's hard to say the range around when that is. In general, it seems like maybe 25 to go. Here at Talladega, maybe a little bit less, maybe more like 15 to go. But Dawson, another kind of an outlier strategy that we haven't seen much of, and I feel like maybe you wouldn't expect, though, that we could see here is these guys are going to try to outpit each other in the sense of single file out, and each team is going to play their own pit strategy and see which one can have the best one.
Well, what a way it would be to end the season. I talk about this a lot openly, how much I love pit strategy races, and when it finishes on a pit stop and who can make the best stop and best execution. I love those races. So if it does go to that effect, I can't wait, because I love it a lot. But we'll see. I'm not convinced yet. We still got a long way to go. I'm not convinced.
Battle of the pushers right here. You got Ken McCall Jr., who's going to be pushed on the outside. Nice and smooth, knows how to get it done. On the inside, Alex Hill, he'll push the daylights out of you. Maybe not quite as smooth, but he is a heck of a pusher. Garrett Maines knows how to hold on to it, so I think that inside line is going to make a pretty good charge right here, especially when you look at the outside. Only 4 trucks, that long single file line. Again, result of all these guys that came down to top off on fuel. Not going to make it the rest of the way. Either way, 30 laps at most. We'll see when they decide to make that final pit stop. Guess would be somewhere around lap 60. Give or take a couple laps, we'll find out. Here we go, green flag is back in the air. The final stage for the championship race is underway. Diving down into turn 1, Garrett Maines getting a little bit of a nose out in front, about half a truck now. Matthew Baker still on the outside. We'll see how much he chooses to lead on his door now. I guess important to note, Garrett was not in the race last week, so even if Baker has some hard feelings towards some of the Maines boys, you wouldn't expect Garrett to be one of them, at least not yet. But Baker running with everything he's got right now on the outside with Ken McCall Jr., who's doing a heck of a job pushing. They're going to need some help, and they're going to need it soon here. I mean, 2 trucks, they're able to hang there on the outside, but Ken's temps are going to get so hot so quick if they can't find help.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for Ryan Bass to give him some help, and he's just not. He got a bad start on the outside line. Now here comes the cavalry, Brandon Broadfoot again. How many times have we said his name coming up to help the outside line tonight? He's going to do it once again as he's on the back bumper of Kenny McCullough, and all of a sudden the 22 right back into contention. The bottoms all kinds of split up into turn number 1.
So it looks like, Dawson, taking a look at it here, remember we started this race before afternoon time, or before 12 o'clock, midday, whatever you want to call it. Track temp has went up, looks like 8, no, I think we started at 103. Point is, it's went up over 5 degrees. Since we started the race, handling not going to be a major issue. That's still not a very hot track temp, but certainly going to make little slight feels and adjustments to the track that guys may not have expected through that first stage. And with that wind still varying a little bit at 5 to 8 miles an hour, I think handling is going to continue to be a little bit more of an issue as the race continues on, and I think that means the battle for track position is you're going to have to get to the front as soon as possible. And I think we heard Baker say it pre-race. He said it was going to get too hot. You got to just be aggressive from the start so you can try to hold the track position. Well, that's exactly what he's doing now as he finds himself out leading on the inside. Ken McCall Jr. got a breather. He now has quite a few trucks lined up behind him. Brandon Broadfoot, who actually jumps to the outside. That's going to put 2 of Ken's teammates down, Christopher McCall and David Sheets. They both lined up on the outside line. There goes Garrett Maines back to the top. Now we're starting to duel it out a little bit.
This is more what I expected. A little bit more dicey racing up front. A little bit more teammates looking for teammates, trying to get some runs going. Garrett right back across the nose of Baker. They swap spots again on the bottom of the racetrack. That leaves the McCullough Motorsports all the real estate in the world up top. Let's see if they can get it done before they get hot, which we know it's going to happen very, very quickly. And some guys lurking now at the front that maybe ran some more laps at the back. Jason Maines, most notably, is 8th in this group, lurking behind these guys, just waiting for somebody to make a mistake and head back towards turn 1. The championship guys starting to make their way to the front.
Well, if we stay as calm and collected as we are at the moment, the field that is, then green flag pit stops could become a reality here. And if that's the case, if you're one of these guys further back, Daniel Eberhardt, Matt Lee, Andrew Navarro, Dylan Jones, John Ellis Jr., any of the guys in the back half of the pack, I think you got to start to shift your focus here to maybe just save it as much fuel as you can if you're planning on just riding around for now. You know, get that green flag pit stop in. That way you can be a little bit more conservative on entry and getting into your box. Or maybe you take the aggressive route, and who knows, maybe you make just enough time with taking that little bit of less fuel. You can start to make a gap, maybe pull away from a pack.
Well, it's certainly a possibility, and I'll tell you one more possibility, and go with me here because I know these guys are thinking about it, and obviously this would be one of our two big teams that would probably pull the trigger on this. The window is going to open around lap 45, 46, 47, if you want to be safe, somewhere in there, so at about 13 laps at most, the window will open. When it does open, if you're a Matthew Baker, an Alex Hill, Jeff Merck, Cody's a little further back, so he'll have to make up some time, as well as Matt Lee. They would be the first team I would expect to pit early. Get on pit road, execute your pit stop, get out, and get hooked up, and just try to run incredible lap times, because these guys are not pushing too hard at the front. I mean, they're pushing harder now, certainly, but I don't know, once you peel off, maybe these guys stop pushing as hard, you can outrun them, and then that last pit stop doesn't matter, and you've just run away. I don't know. Maybe go with me a little bit on that. Instead of running it out, maybe you just pit early when the window opens.
Yeah, we'll have to see. It's one of those strategies that it just hasn't seemed to have been as effective since probably 3 months ago, whenever it was that we saw the change in the damage model for the trucks and how they race now with the heavy pushing. You know, it's one of those things where if you pit early here, you're going to have to make sure you have at least 4 or 5 guys, which, again, NBG does have. So, you know, normally I would say no, Dawson, but with this added characteristic as this race has been so far, I certainly would not rule it out of the possibilities that we could see an early stop here for NBG. Meanwhile, on the outside, McCall Motorsports, they're starting to flex a little muscle. 3 of the 5 teammates in the field tonight, they got one of their teammates clear. Ken McCall Jr. back to the lead on the bottom. We'll see if Garrett Maines, just how bad he wants to lead. Does he think about jumping back to the top? Looks like he feels pretty comfortable staying on the back bumper of Ken McCall Jr. for now. Sean Hill, Jeff Merck, you noted it. They're staying back a little bit here. Let's see if we can ride on board with Sean Hill. See if maybe he's saving just a little bit of fuel right here as he sits, I believe it's 4th on that inside line. And doesn't sound like it. I mean, maybe rolling down to 85, 90% throttle, but definitely doesn't sound like he's focusing hard on saving fuel, maybe just trying to keep the truck clean. Notice there hasn't been too much side drafting. There's a move to the outside for Garrett Maines. He jumps up in front of the 04 Christopher McCall, and wow, that was a quick trigger, Dawson. He got to the front there within probably about a quarter of a straightaway. That was a very well executed move by the one truck. But as I was saying, actually I forgot what I was saying about that. I got mesmerized by that move that Garrett Maines made it look so easy. We'll see how Matthew Baker responds here. He gets clear to the outside as he chooses to take it. He doesn't, and eventually I think that outside line's going to fade at this rate.
Yeah, I think it might start to fade as the temps start to get hot. The sun's come back out onto the racetrack, and track temp, like you said, has been steadily going up the last 15 laps or so. And as it gets hotter, these trucks get hotter quicker. David Sheets has been pushing for a long time at this point, so don't be surprised if he gets a little bit hot, although a little bit of a surge out of the outside. But they don't have any help anymore as Brandon Broadfoot's just struggling to stay on the back. So I don't know, expect them to maybe fade. They're hanging for now, but I think perhaps part of the reason Hill and Merck and Jason Maines are staying a little further back, I don't think it's as much to save fuel. Perhaps it's to save temps. I think maybe you want to keep the truck cool, keep your options open. Obviously, you don't want to run into the guy in front of you in a big race like this. That's the last thing you want to do. But I think temps may be coming into it as well, just keeping their options open if they need to go make a move.
They certainly might be, and you know, the more temps go up, the more that outside line is going to start to have a chance to roll. Tire grip's going to fall off a little bit more, and then the inside almost more like an oven in the sense of you got all the walls around you trapped, so you can't really get anywhere to cool off. The outside, you can dip out to the outside, maybe even to the middle, so we'll see just how long until that outside line really gets rolling. The fact that they are staying this long with only 3 trucks, with how much David Sheets has had to been pushing, is quite the statement in itself. But Garrett Maines seems like the guy right now does not want to run second. You see right now he's pushing Ken McCall Jr., but we very well might see another move to the outside, especially with how well he executed on that last go. Going to be starting to close in, maybe not yet on that final pit stop, the window opening. Probably about another 10 laps or so, I would say, until it does open up. So right now you got Ken McCall Jr. leading, Garrett Maines in second. Looks like Christopher McCall now third on the outside, Matthew Baker fourth on the inside, and here comes the charge from Jeff Merck and Sean Hill. Jason Maines just behind them. Very, very conservative here in the early going so far for the championship 16. Looking further back, Dawson, do you think you'd be in the boat here that we talked about earlier of saving as much fuel as you can?
I think if you're further back, I think that's your only option. Obviously, with these guys running so far apart, I think it's the smart way to go. You know, just let off. Run 70%, 60% throttle while you're in the pack. Make sure you keep the draft, and you could save, you know, a couple laps, maybe 3 laps back there, and make that pit stop even quicker if you do decide to run the tank out. Notably, though, Cody Nagels, he's decided the time to go is right now. As he's jumped to the outside, he's waiting for some help. He's going to get it for Daniel Eberhardt and his teammate Matt Lee as they start to come to the front. And I don't know, I just have this weird gut feeling NBG, I think they're going to pull the trigger and pit early and just try to get off cycle. But I don't know, we'll see. If those two can get to the front, don't be surprised.
Yeah, it certainly piqued my curiosity at this point, and looked like there was more than just 2 guys that decided maybe it's go time. You saw 4 to 5 trucks get together there, and it was 4 or 5 of the really, really talented guys that you've seen in the field. So we'll see how long it takes them to get up here. And a lot of times, Dawson, when a line's making a lot of progress, it draws more followers, which it looks like is exactly what's happening. Now the outside is going to grow to 6, maybe 7, depending on when those 3 trucks that have jumped out get there. Now we'll see if anybody in front of that outside line decides to jump up, try to make a charge to the front. I would look maybe here for one of the NBG guys to be the first to jump up, maybe looking around Jeff Merck, Sean Hill, Matthew Baker area. But Garrett Maines, we know he's like to stay at the front, so he very well might jump to the top here and see if he can get back in front of Ken McCall Jr. But they're here now. Here we go. The charge from the outside. Here comes Cody Nagels. He's got a big push from Matt Lee down the backstretch. They're going to draw even here with their leaders.
Wow. I mean, and that's just a testament to the guys you see in the outside line. Nagels, Lee, Eberhardt, Navarro, Ellis, Jones, Jason Maines a little further back as the NBG guys get in line. That was a close moment. The NBG guys are now all down, and they're all at the front of the field. Continue to pique that curiosity, Austin, because I don't know. I still have this feeling that when this window opens, they're going to pit. We'll see. But now they're all up at the front. Now it leaves the outside, though, to Eberhardt, Navarro, John Ellis, our regular season champion, Dylan Jones, and Jason Maines a little further back as those guys start to try to make a charge to match NBG.
Well, that close call at the end of the backstretch that last time was a little bit of that tunnel vision that you see when a guy drops down. You've just been pushing him so long, you're focusing pretty much on the center of his back bumper, and you kind of don't notice when he first moves down. Daniel did a good job of snapping out of the trance quick enough to make sure he was able to turn back up before making any contact. And yeah, here we go, Dawson. Starting to see guys dice up the moves. I think when you see certain guys start to be aggressive, it pulls that trigger in some of these guys' mind that it must mean that it's time for me to get aggressive. And John Ellis Jr., he was one of those guys that they were not too happy with last week, NBG that is. And them seeing him at the front, they're probably not too happy about it. They're going to try to go up there and see if they can take the lead away. And looking at the pit window, Dawson, I'm thinking about 6-7 laps here. Again, we'll see if anybody decides to single file out to the bottom. But right now, John Ellis Jr. and his teammate Dylan Jones, powerful move. They drop down to the inside, and with that move, just like that, the outside line made the charge to the front. They all drop low, and everybody that was on the bottom that tried to jump up, they might get stranded right here.
I don't know, because Matthew Baker is obviously not going to sit back. He's going to push whoever's in front of him, and in this case, it's Garrett Maines. They surge to the outside once again. NBG moves and counter moves, Austin. Matt Lee to the outside now behind Jason Maines, as these guys just continue to match each other. It's like a game of chess, the front of the field, as these guys continue to try to make moves. Now Baker, Maines, Lee the outside line. Don't be surprised if one of their teammates jumps up, tries to get some help. Ryan Baste as well. He decides, I'm going to go get in this party, maybe try to play some spoiler. Up front, Matthew Baker back to the lead to the tri-oval.
Looks like Broadfoot, Butler, Mullihan, David Sheets, Christopher McCall, all those guys that we just saw in the front maybe 5-6 laps ago, they've all faded back just a little bit now. They've decided that they've seen enough. They see things starting to pick up here. They're going to go to the back, just kind of watch and wait for a little bit here, maybe see if they can get to the pit stop. McCall Motorsports is another group that really likes green flag pit stops. So who knows, maybe they try to steal NBG, well, I wouldn't say steal NBG strap, but beat him to it, if you will. And maybe they try to pit as early as possible. We'll have to see. Ken McCall Jr. and Cody Nagels there, that's kind of the split between teams. Well, not so much as Daniel Eberhardt sits in front of Cody, but up front, Garrett Maines in control. He's got 2 teammates behind him, and on the outside, Matthew Baker has Jason Maines behind. So now, just as quickly as NBG, McCall Motorsports, those 2 teams felt like they were in control. Now it kind of shifts focus, and it feels like the Maines boys are in control here with 30 laps to go.
Well, in control for now, but still so much to happen. And as we speak, Matthew Baker to the bottom in front of Garrett Maines to retake the race lead. Leaves only Jason Maines and Matt Lee up top. As those guys fade, look for some of the NBG teammates that have now cycled further back to maybe make some ground up here as we get closer to that pit window opening. It's going to open here very, very quickly. So if you're going to pit early, you got to start to try to get in line. And Matt Lee, Jason Maines kind of hung out. Matt Lee's doing everything he can up there. He is pushing the heck out of the one truck. But unfortunately, with two guys, as hard as these guys are pushing up front now, it's going to be awfully hard to keep Jason up front without some more help.
Matt Lee doing a masterful job of pushing too. Look how steady he holds the wheel through the corner. Just try to give Jason enough of a push to get him up there, but doesn't want to turn him in. Notice he pushes him through the corner, but he's almost like treading on thin air, I guess you would maybe call it right now, in the sense of not pushing Jason as hard as he certainly probably could. By the end of this race, at this point in the track, he would have been locked on and not even considering letting off, even if he gets slightly offset. But as for now, just playing it safe. And man, you see Baker on the bottom wiggling around just a little bit. He must not be liking the push too much that he's getting right now from Garrett Maines. I think Garrett's just shoving the heck out of him, but Baker still holds on as they dive down into turn 3 in that outside line of two trucks. Maines is going to get a big break here. Ellis checking up a little bit, lets his teammate in, and that's going to send Matt Lee all the way back to at least Cody Nagels. That's a tough break for Matt Lee there, who was helping Jason out and maybe felt like he got a little bit ditched there. But looks like Navarro lets Lee in, and they're going to continue on their way here as everybody gets single file.
Yeah, we're getting so close to that window opening. It's going to be really interesting to see who's the first to pull the trigger on a pit stop. I'm at the edge of my seat. Maybe a lot of people aren't right now, but I definitely am. I am loving this. I'm loving the number crunching we have to do and that these guys are inevitably doing in their team communications as well. You know, these guys at the front, Baker, Maines, Jason Maines, Ellis, Jones, Lee, you know, they're all crunching numbers. They're all like, okay, when are these guys going to pit? You know, what do we do if they pull the trigger first? Now, obviously, you just counter them and you go opposite of what they do, and this could get really, really, really interesting.
Looking at the track map, something else a little interesting right now is 21st, 22nd position here. Mark Vondell, Mike Davenport. Mark is one of the Championship 16. Mike is not, but not sure what happened to these two. Trucks look clean, but they lost the draft in some way, and they're way back now. Again, not sure what happened. Didn't have any data that these guys got caught up in any incident. Back up front, NBG is pit. There it is, Dawson. You called the strategy. There it is. Looks like a couple guys with them. Looks like McCall Motorsports maybe and NBG. Yeah, that's the call. And then a couple stragglers, if you will. Brandon Broadfoot, Gabe Butler, look like Brock Westmoreland. Wow, a lot of guys pitting here as soon as that window opened. I think this is going to draw the Maines group down pretty soon as well.
It might, but it also might allow them to run long. We're going to see which one they choose to do. You'll see guys do one of two things. You'll either see them answer the call immediately, and obviously as they come off turn 4, we will give these guys a second so I don't finish that thought. If they are going to pit right here, and they are, so we'll wipe that out. I was going to say maybe they'll run long. They don't. Here come the Maines boys, plus Navarro, plus Eberhardt, plus Ryan Bass to pit road to make their pit stops.
And I'll tell you what, it baffles me how they can get into pit road 4 wide without even a slight lockup. Perfectly executed right there from the Maines boys. And then, of course, Eberhardt and Navarro. Bass slid in there as well. He did have a lockup. Hard to say if he made it in. Looks like Gabe Butler may have gotten a speeding penalty. You see him just now leaving his pit box. We are going to thin the herd a little bit here, and what I mean by that is we're going to drop off some of the guys that were in that pack before the pit stop. It's just a matter of how many guys do we eliminate. We'll have to find that out as they come off the pits, but looking at pit lane 1 cam, my favorite camera for this, there is that big group entering the travel as these guys exit. They're going to catch them, and the question is, how big is this pack going to be once they all get together? Looks like they dropped, I would say, between 3 and 6 trucks at least off the pack, but again, we'll have to wait and see how everybody blends together. And now Dawson, no more pit stop scheduled. The race for $500 is on. This is where it's going to start to get exciting, and it's going to get wild.
Yeah, and these guys did not shake each other on that pit stop in the slightest. NBG plus Kenny McCullough, plus I believe also Chris McCullough. Well, it's not all of NBG. That's interesting. Alex Hill, Jeff Merck lost their teammates on that pit cycle. Something happened, some kind of problem on those trucks. We'll have to go back and see if we can get an idea of what happened to those guys on pit road. Alex Hill quite a ways behind his teammates, actually, so something went wrong. But nonetheless, 3 NBG trucks, Kenny McCullough and Chris McCullough, have caught the Maines group at the front of the field, and it is all on from here. 26 laps to go.
Yeah, that 3-truck draft looks like, well, there's a 3-truck a 3-truck draft. I guess I should have rephrased that here. And it looks like Sean Hill is the first truck that is not in that lead draft. Dylan Jones, the last truck in it. And right now they sit 8.5 seconds back. Looks like they're gaining a little bit. We'll have to see. They're going to have to continue to gain here pretty much every lap if they want to make up that deficit. And just as I said that, unfortunately starting to extend back out. You go back here to Brandon Broadfoot. He's on an island by himself. John Mullahan catching him. Those two will get locked up soon, and they will be joined by Mike Davenport and Mark Von Dell. Looks like Based, Jeff Merck, and Gabe Butler must have all had speeding penalties, as they are nowhere near the pack right now. They're going to need a caution if they want to keep their championship hopes alive. Up front, it's still 2x2, but you can tell the field has gotten a ton more aggressive here as two of the McCall Motorsports teammates get clear. They're going to drop to the bottom here of Matthew Baker. That puts Ken McCall Jr. out to lead. Here comes Navarro to the back bumper of Matthew Baker. Matt Lee on the bottom. It's the Mains boys out back. They've got 4 trucks. And it looks like it's a 3-on-4 battle right now for NBG versus the Mains. And, of course, McCall Motorsports throwing their hand into the mix. I believe they have 2 trucks up in this mix right now as well.
Yeah, they do. It's going to be about a 3v4 v2 v die. I don't even know. We're going to have to figure out whose allegiance is where here on this late run. But obviously, the other Mains guys that we know about, we have the MBG guys we know about, the McCullough guys we know about. The two that we don't know about is Eberhardt and Navarro. They're going to be wild cards like we talked about earlier, and we're going to see where their allegiance lies. It's going to come into question pretty quickly here as we're inside 25 laps to go. These guys are going to start deciding who they want to support.
And the pack is looking really broken up right here. Odd look to see the inside fade that much, and then the Mains crew is maybe sagging back a little bit here. You got to wonder, are they trying to gear themselves up for a run? Cody is kind of just in front of them, so they're going to have to go through the 6 truck first if they want to go anywhere. But definitely an odd look how they kind of act up. They're not really connected. They might just be playing it safe for a little bit longer here, Dawson. And right now, looking at this lead pack, it looks like there is 13 guys in it. And, of course, actually, no, looks like we dropped a little bit more. I take that back. There's 11 guys in this lead pack. And, again, 8 are going to be going home with money, or top 8. So right now, only 3 guys wouldn't be getting payouts. Garrett Maines is not a championship contender. Neither is Andrew Navarro. Neither is Matt Lee. So as it stands right now, everybody in this lead pack is going home with money. Does that change how they race here?
I don't think it does, right? I mean, obviously, you know, if you're John Ellis or Dylan Jones a little further back, Jason Maines, Cody Nagels, I don't think you're going to want to settle for where you're running right now, and you certainly wouldn't want to see somebody not on your team win that big $500 prize. So I don't think it changes how you race. I think it just, you know, maybe it says, okay, well, if I don't win, you have the guarantee that you're going to get some money, but at the same time, these guys are. They can get a little bit selfish sometimes. I don't think that's something they'd say was untrue. So I don't think it's going to change the way they race. What a weird look! They're like single file in the middle line as they put that group of 3 a lap down.
Yeah, I wish I could get into the heads of one of these guys right now and what they've been kind of thinking tonight. It's just looked nothing like what we have seen at all this whole season. But they did catch 3 lap trucks right there. Gabe Butler, Jeff Merck, and Ryan Baste. And those 3 trucks, they are not going anywhere. They're going to tag onto the back of this pack. In fact, looks like Merck and Baste committed to staying on the outside, and they're actually starting to gear back up for a little bit of a run here. So those 3 trucks will fight for the lucky dog for now in case we get a caution. But we get down to the end of this thing, and no caution's looking likely, or even we get to the last lap with no caution. They're going to play into the role of how this race ends. They're going to pick certain guys that they want to help get to the front. And it's going to be a matter of which team, I guess, they owe a favor more here. But the Mains crew still staying towards the back of the pack with Ellis, Dylan Jones, and Garrett Maines. 3 out of the last 4 trucks. Jason just a couple rows up. And now we see a couple of the NBG guys, along with Navarro, jump to the inside as Ken McCall Jr. and Daniel Eberhardt continue to push on the outside. And I think this is the first time that we've seen 3 wide all night. As much as it's hard, or as hard as it is for me to say that or believe that. But Ryan Baste on the top with Jeff Merck. Looks like Merck's going to drop to the middle, try to dump off that 73 as he jumps behind Jason Maines, and off of turn 2. It is now Matthew Baker back to the front on the outside.
Tell you what, that's not what the field wanted to see, is catching that lap truck group, because that lap truck group does include Jeff Merck, who is an NBG truck, and while he's not on the lead lap, that does not prevent him from helping his teammates in the finish of this race if it does stay green. So don't look now. If this goes into a green flag run, if we get to the point that we're making moves for the win, Jeff Merck all of a sudden not in a lead position, but in the lead draft and close to his teammates. He can absolutely play a factor in the finish of this race, and I would not be surprised if he does. That's exactly what the doctor ordered for NBG, at least the guys that are running up front right now.
And that 3-truck tandem that they had going with David Sheets, Sean Hill, and I believe there was one more guy hanging with them. Looking back on who that was, it was Brock Westmoreland. And the 4-truck, unfortunately, they have continued to lose time. In fact, they've lost 3 to 4 seconds since we last checked in. So they are going to need a caution at this point. In fact, everybody that's 12th on back is praying for caution at this point. And who would have guessed that the championship race would have been the race where we saw the longest consecutive green flag run, not counting the stage, all season? I mean, I certainly wouldn't have had that in my notes, but nonetheless, here we are. They're going to pick up another lap truck here with Mike Davenport. They may pick up all the lappers before this race is all said and done, and either way, they're probably going to pick up a couple more. And we're going to have a lot of pack action here towards the end of this thing. That third lane, it's been kind of taunting for a couple of these guys to want to go out and try it out, but just seems like the teams have kind of gotten a little bit separated here. I haven't really seen more than 2 guys stuck together since we came out of the pits, except for the mains boys, but they're all trapped on the bottom right now, and they don't really have anywhere to go.
Well, you can feel the intensity ramping up every time we flash by the start-finish line. The closer we get to that 75th and final lap, you can feel it getting more and more intense. You can feel these guys starting to maybe get a little more desperate. It's not desperation time yet, but we're certainly starting to approach the period of time where you go to make your move for the win. You got to commit to it, and you can tell. I mean, you can just tell as every lap that goes by, it feels like just more and more intense. We are ramping up. I think we're getting ready to see 3 wide. It's not going to be much longer now.
18 laps to go when we hit the line. This time, Andrew Navarro up 16 from where he started. He is your current leader, battling Matt Lee at Talladega. One more break, and then we will stick around until the finish. Stay with us to see the result for the championship race here at Tuesday Night Thunder.
Ghost Racing Network now has merch. Go to grnmerch.com to browse our selections from stickers to custom-made by request hoodies and shirts. If you've ever wanted to support Ghost Racing Network outside of YouTube, here's your chance. Ghost Racing Network, for the scary side of iRacing.
Back live at Talladega Superspeedway, 16 laps to go now. Out in front, Matthew Baker and Andrew Navarro. Dawson just talked about over our last break that as it stands right now, I could tell you for certain that, well, actually Matthew Baker has now jumped to the inside, but we saw Baker was behind Navarro and then Lee was leading the inside. At that point, I had said, I don't see any move from here on out for Baker or Lee. They're certainly not jumping to the third lane, but now that they've jumped to the inside, it still opens the door for guys such as Ken McCall Jr., and I take that right on back. NBG back in control, so I look to see that first move probably happen somewhere with either Ken McCall Jr. or Daniel Everhart, but the mains group, they're boxed in right now. There's nowhere to go, so they're going to have to do exactly what I think they're trying to do right now, and that's back up and slowly but surely single file up to that top line, and then they're going to start gearing up for runs. As it looks like Garrett and Jason, they've both slid their way to the top. Now they've got 2 more teammates to go, and Dylan Jones and John Ellis Jr., but it looks like in between all of them, Ryan Baste, one of the lap trucks, he slid right in between. He's still fighting to get that lucky dog spot, who right now I think it would go to Jeff Merck, it looks like. No, it would go to Ryan Basin in the 73. He is currently the highest running lap down truck, but Burke and Butler not too far behind. Either way, we stay side by side. Going to be 14 laps to go at the line this time, Dawson. I'm telling you, it's a time bomb ticking. When's it going to go off?
Feel like it's coming sooner and sooner and sooner, and Maines group is all up. Don't look now. Ellis, Jones, Maines, and then also Jason Maines a little further back. They're lined up in the second line. If they're going to make a move, it'd be a perfect opportunity if they can get a run here on Daniel Eberhard. They've got a lot of real estate to draft up to the back and then go 3 wide if they choose to do it. I don't know. It may still be a little bit early. I think they're just going to ride where they're at and hang where they're at and then make a move a little bit later. Oh, no, I lied. Take it back. Here they go. Maines group to the outside. The first one to move.
All right, and the chess game that was played so masterfully, all is going to come down to this right here. When do you make the right move? The Maines boys feel like it's now. Looks like it's only 2 trucks. Now make it 3. Jason trapped on the bottom. He'd like to get up there with his teammates. But, man, there is going to be some crazy blocking going on at some point here. Right now, though, I would normally say Baker feels comfortable on the bottom. Boy, that was an aggressive move from Eberhard. He slammed the door on the Maines crew to get up, and he got up just in time. Baker loose in front of the field. Can he hold on? He's trying to save it. Still saves it. He doesn't. They all save it. Oh, my goodness. They all held on to that. How did they do that?
We're going to have to take a look at it here. I don't know if we have a chance now, if we're going to do it later, but that save by Matthew Baker is one of the greatest I have ever seen. I have no idea how he kept that truck straight and how everybody else didn't get into him and was able to drive around him, and he's able to stay in the pack. Wow, I have no words. I really don't.
I'll do you one better. How about the save from the entire field? Oh, my goodness. Navarro and Baker definitely in the thick of it there, but the rest of the NBG guys dropping low. Ellis and Eberhard going high to miss it. That was absolutely incredible. Yeah, I agree, Dawson. That may have been the best super speedway save I have ever seen as Baker tried to shut the door. Maybe he was just a little too late on it. Let's take a ride on board with the cockpit view. Watch the hands working right here for Matthew Baker. Feels the push, gets him offset. A little overcorrection. Now he's just trying to save it. Wow. That was a wicked, wicked save. He lives another day. Bad news for him as it's dropped him back to 9th. He's going to have to continue fighting, but with that save, he at least gave himself a chance to keep fighting. And up front, they did narrow it back down to 2x2 since that. And I think part of that is because a couple guys got separated here. Garrett Maines in 10th, and Jason, he might be in danger here of losing the pack. In fact, I think that Garrett is trying to hold like kind of a bridge right here to keep Jason in tow. Unfortunately, I don't think he's going to be able to do it. Gabe, who was one of the lappers, did lose the pack with that as well. Those 3 trucks that were tandeming together didn't really...
Whoa, sorry to cut you off, Austin. Problems with Garrett Maines as he tried to get around Jeff Merck. I'm not sure what happened back there, but the one truck has gotten into the outside wall, and now all hope of a bridge is gone. I'm not sure what happened, and all of a sudden, if this stays green, Garrett and Jason Maines, oh no, just a killer blow to their night.
Yeah, that would certainly take a lot of guys out of the championship battle here. Garrett coming up to... Oh, looked like he was going to go around Jeff there, and then Jeff maybe made a little bit of a decision, and Garrett tried to counter. I think Garrett thought that he was going to take the inside, and then when he saw... It's just an odd look. Let me rephrase this here. I think Garrett was taking the inside. He saw Jeff come down, and then it looked like Garrett was going to go up. He saw Jeff make a move and maybe just overreacted just a slight bit on that as from the look of it, and then steered it way too hard to the right, got into the outside wall. That's a little bit of a rare mistake there that you saw from Garrett, but he might have just got caught off guard there by Jeff. And man, this puts NBG, I got to believe, in the driver's seat at this point. They do not have the most teammates up here of anyone. John Ellis Jr., though, is still in it for the Maines crew. But it's Daniel Eberhard out in front, leading with 10. Going to be 9 to go when we hit the line this time. And man, you talked about it, Dawson. The Maines boys, they are praying for a caution right now. They do not want to see the race end like that.
Oh, no, and certainly John Ellis and Dylan Jones, their teammates, did not want to see half their team get pretty much wiped out of this race if it stays green, because now all of a sudden you were looking at 4 trucks and maybe a dominant force at the front of the field. Now you look up and surrounding you are non-teammates and other guys looking for that big money bonus. And speaking of teammates, Chris and Kenny McCullough, they're not going to go quietly. They are up to 2nd and 3rd on the outside line. You know, they're not going to wait very long as they field deals with some more lap trucks. Brandon Broadfoot going a lap down. They're going to catch Mullahan as well as Von Dell up here in just a minute, but they're not going to wait. I don't think the McCullers are going to wait. They can't afford to wait. And you know Kenny and Chris, they don't like waiting, so I don't expect them to be riding behind John Ellis for very much longer.
They certainly don't, and they are going to pick up some more teammates right here in Mark Von Dell and John Mullahan. Those two will drop in line, maybe play it safe here until we get again closer to the end. They have to keep an eye on their own race here, maybe looking to get a lucky dog, get themselves back in that championship battle. But if we get to the end where there's either not going to be caution on the white flag lap or whatever the deal is, they're going to get up there and see if they can't help Ken and Chris maybe get a 1-2 finish. We'll have to keep an eye on it. Eberhard works back to the top line now. He's going to let Cody Nagels cool off. Bottom's starting to fade big time here. Two trucks really connected right now, but Davenport, the third truck, doesn't look like he's quite able to get to the back bumper. That causes Navarro to sag off a little bit here. And now John Ellis Jr. and Daniel Eberhard with the big charge down the backstretch. Do they both get clear? They do. And now Ellis thinking about dropping to the bottom. He's not made up his mind just yet. I thought he was maybe thinking about trying to bait Eberhard to the bottom. Eberhard doesn't bite, so now they both quickly ride back to the top. And here comes Cody Nagels back down to the bottom.
Oh boy, that was dangerous. I thought they were gonna straddle the lines maybe a little bit too long, and actually they do straddle a little bit too long because now the bottom's got some more energy. John Mullahan is behind Mike Davenport. Daniel Eberhard, John Ellis with maybe what's going to become a critical error since the bottom's got some more help that opens the door for Cody Nagels. But here, don't look now. Garrett Maines is going to be lapped by the field, and he'll be able to help his teammates right here. I do believe he can catch on to the tail end of this draft.
One of the beauties of splitting payouts is this right here, what we're seeing right now with Garrett Maines. Take a look, and yep, sure enough, he went in. And I believe he probably took the fast spray. I don't know if he got all that damage fixed with just optional. And he's not planning, I don't think, on sitting and waiting patiently for too long here. Again, he's not in the championship battle, so while he could be fighting for a normal payout here tonight, I think eyes on the prize and the bigger picture here is to go see if he can help his teammate John Ellis Jr. secure the deal, who, by the way, teammates or not, he still finds a way to lead in the middle line right now. But here comes Matthew Baker with Matt Lee on the top. 6 laps now to go at Talladega.
What a run by the NVG guys. Basically just 2 trucks up there, and unfortunately their run's going to fade as no one willing to go up there and help them. They just don't have any friends. They're willing to go to the top of the racetrack and get behind them. So we're going to see if they find some help. But for now, nothing doing, and they're going to have to try to restack and get that run going once again. So still 2 wide up at the front. Now they've got some help, though. Oh, well, they did. There go the McCullochs. Chris and Kenny to the top of the racetrack. They are not waiting anymore. 3 wide at the front of the field, racing for the lead inside 6 laps to go.
I was a little surprised to see Eberhard make that move. That maybe gives me a little bit of insight on who Daniel may be working with here tonight. It was a certainly good move, though, by Eberhard nonetheless. It was almost good enough to hold that outside line from getting clear. Not quite able to do so, as you saw Ken McCall Jr. gets cleared. He now leads the field with 5 laps to go, and again, as many things as we see change through the race, just when you thought either Daniel Eberhard or the Maines crew, NBG, whoever you had on your book is winning it, there's McCall Motorsports throwing their names right back into the hat. They lead 2 out of the 3 lanes, but it's John Ellis Jr. who now leads back on the bottom. Brandon Brownfoot making moves. Oh, big wreck! Down on the bottom. How many is it going to collect? Yellow flag is out. Oh, my goodness, Dawson.
It actually doesn't collect that many people. It's the main guy getting in this one is Daniel Eberhard, I think. It
certainly is. Oh, man. And he doesn't even have damage. That's a tough, tough caution. You know, it was an odd look because we saw so many trucks dart out to the bottom. And I thought I saw one get T-boned, but you're right. It certainly doesn't look like it was too many guys. But it may have been behind here. Looks like I'm seeing some of Garrett Maines and Mike Davenport may have had issues here. Mark Von Dell even. Let's back this up and see if we can break all this down, exactly what goes wrong here. So everybody's staying nice and close together, looking for Garrett. He's not in the view right now, so he must come into the play. Oh, yes, he is. Excuse me, I take that back. 5th on the middle line. And, oh, Ken just got loose. Was it a bad push? Might have been a little bit of an offset push. Let's see if we get a better angle of it. You know, at this point in the race, Dawson, we know everybody is full shove, and I mean, maybe just slightly offsets him, and then that gets him a little bit more offset, and then right here maybe has a chance to save it, but unfortunately that little bit of oversteer and Eberhard not able to check up in time. Just one of those racing deals when everybody's pushing hard here at the end, and then I thought they all saved it initially, but then right here I saw Eberhard dive into the inside. He takes a big shot into Andrew Navarro. That sends Navarro along with Maines down into the inside wall. That's a big hit for Navarro. Destroys that truck. Garrett Maines as well. He gets up almost over was the 42 of Navarro. And then there's Mike Davenport at the end of the incident as Eberhard came back up, hit the 55 and the 59 of Mark Von Dell. So they both get a little bit more contact as Eberhard was trying to steer out of it. And that was indeed what drew the caution.
Yeah, just one of those deals to front of the field and the way you have to push in the trucks. We've seen so many incidents like that. It is a bit of a tough caution. We all got back going. Obviously, some guys a little further back that got slowed up would like to see that caution, and it's a bit of a tough call, but it is what it is. It's one of those racing deals, and it gives us exactly what we thought was going to happen, and that's a late race restart. I will tell you just really quickly, John Mullahan was going to get the lucky dog. He does not, since he was involved in the incident, so it goes to Brandon Broadfoot instead. He is back on the lead lap, and what this does is it draws back into this title fight Brock Westmoreland and Alex Hill, who are back on the lead lap and in the lead draft. And this is going to get really interesting. Those guys, a second life here late in this race.
Tell you what, Brandon Broadfoot, he was my pick. I still got faith. We'll see what he can do here on this final restart. A couple more views of that wreck. Man, that was a huge hit for those two trucks. Navarro and Garrett Maines, two of the best guys in the series. I feel like it's rare that you see two guys like that hit the wall that hard. My goodness, but let's take one more onboard shot here. And again, I think the two guys that got the worst in this were non-championship contenders, so I guess that would be the good news in general for the field. But Mark Von Dell, who was, and maybe had a chance to get that lap back, didn't because of that. And then Eberhard, he's going to get a little bit of damage. But Garrett, he did not have a fast spare Dawson because he risked it and took it. So that is going to eliminate one of the Maines drivers. There's no way he gets that damage fixed before we go back green. So that pushes the Maines guys down a guy right here. And up front, it is going to be Christopher McCall leading, Matthew Baker second. John Ellis Jr. lining up in third. Cody Nagels to his outside is going to be pushing his teammate. And in fact, put NBG 1, 2, 3 on the outside. You see Matt Lee there in sixth. On his inside in fifth is Ken McCall Jr. And then there you go. You talked about it. Sean Hill back in the mix. So is David Sheets, Ryan Baste. It is going to be an exciting finish. The only bad news for a lot of guys here is the amount of them that are still, unfortunately, not on the lead lap. But it does look like Jason Maines, some of those guys that really needed that break, who were in the mix, they got it. Some of the championship contenders that are not on the lead lap, though, at this point, Ryan Baste, Jeff Merck, John Mullahan, Gabe Butler, Mark Von Dell, all those guys still going to be fighting to see if they can get the lucky dog spot right here. And I believe we still have 3 overtimes as usual here, Dawson. So, I mean, you never know, but one thing I do know is it's going to get really crazy right here as we get the 1-to-go signal. Getting ready to decide ourselves and crown a championship right here, or crown a champion, rather.
Well, Chris McCullough, the smartest decision of the night. He's going to take the top in front of the NBG teammates and pin Matthew Baker on the bottom. Here's the problem for Chris McCullough, and that's going to be Matthew Baker has John Ellis with him. John Ellis, such a great pusher. If he can get Baker clear, Baker's going to the middle, and oh boy, you could not have written this any better for NBG Motorsports, right? Jeff Merck only about 5 or 6 rows back to help his teammates as well. This is about the best case scenario they could have asked for with how their race went. And obviously they're going to be in the catbird seat right here. I mean, if you had to pick a team right now, it's NBG. They're all at the front for the most part, with Jeff Merck going to be able to support them. And I don't know, it's going to be awfully tough to beat those guys.
Gloves are coming off. It is going to be a lot of blocking, a lot of heartbreak, and a lot of tempers when this race is all said and done, most likely. But, I wonder if maybe they'll try to bait Chris here. Those two NBG drivers, do they think about maybe trying to either jump to the outside here if Chris throws a block, they quickly go back to the middle, Baker picks them up, or if they did commit to the outside here, I don't know if that'd be necessarily the best move, because with David Sheets, 2 trucks behind him, if they didn't get clear quick enough, David could get up to his teammate and maybe support Chris for a little bit longer. Chris does have a little bit of left side damage. I don't think that's going to affect him right here. I think the truck's going to be just as fast as any of the clean trucks. But, oh my goodness, 2 laps to go is going to feel like forever. And, I mean, it's quite a distance. When you're at a 2.65-mile super speedway, we still have over 5 miles to go to decide ourselves a winner in this race. Again, if they wreck on the white flag lap and we get a caution, or excuse me, the green lap here, and we get a caution, we can rack them up and do it again. If we make it to that white flag, the race is official, and that's where we could really see some feelings get played around with. So we're going to have to see. It's going to play out. It's going to be exciting, Dawson. Here we go.
Base car is down. Chris McCullough. It's gonna be the longest crawl into the restart zone of maybe his career, with a championship on the line in the 04 for McCullough Motorsports. He's got a bunch of hungry guys behind him. We got 5.5 miles to decide a champion. Green flag is back in the air. Green white checkered attempt number 1. It's actually an organic green white checkered, not gonna count towards the overtime. Field stacks up. Here we go. Turns 1 and 2. They're starting to get in line, starting to make their moves.
Christopher McCall fading back a little bit here. If he can stay even with Baker, though, that's going to help him out. He's going to get a big run down the backstretch. In fact, he should get clear right here, Matthew Baker. That would put Cody Nagels to the point. Can he do it? He's close. Trying to get clear. I think he's got it. Question's going to be, does he take it? Sticks to the outside for now. Does he make the move down into turn 3? Here comes the third lane. Up top, looks like it's Mark Vondell and John Mullahan trying to start making their way to the front. And no, Christopher McCall does not jump to the top, Dawson. He's going to stay, or excuse me, doesn't jump to the bottom. He stays up top, and that allows Baker now. He starts to surge on the bottom as we come through the trial to see the white flag.
Yeah, Baker's surging, but he's got to make sure Ellis doesn't get clear. You know, John Ellis really wants Baker to get clear. He wants himself to get clear. He's not going to do it, though. White flag is in the air, I do believe, and we are going to crown ourselves a champ right here. Baker pulls ahead into turn number 1 and 2. Third line starting to come, and that's Brendan Broadfoot with Navarro. How much can he do on the outside? He's going to be a factor in this. Down the back straightaway, still double file. Who's going to make the first move?
Final pushes everything you got right here. There goes Brock Westmoreland. A couple more trucks going to jump to the top now. I think one of them might have been Dylan Jones. On the bottom, though, still Matthew Baker leading Christopher McCall. In the middle, that top line, they're going to have one more charge. I don't know if it's going to be enough, though. If you're Cody and Lee, do you think about making a jump to the outside right here? Try to pick up one more position. Here we go. Final time out of turn 4. Baker on the bottom, they're going to wreck out back. It's Lee around. He gets into David Sheets. They're wrecking more out back, but up front, they keep it clean. Matthew Baker now to the outside. He's going to win it at the line. He wins the championship race for the Tuesday Night Thunder Series. How did he pull it off?
Wow. I mean, it's the finish we all wanted, the finish we all deserved, the finish these drivers deserved. Wow. What a finish. And I'll tell you what, the big winners tonight, well, there's going to be several of them, but I think your biggest winners, NBG 1st, 4th, and 8th. They cash in a huge way tonight at Talladega.
And man, I'll tell you what, it was a close finish. In fact, if Ellis doesn't slip off the bumper of Ken just a little bit, he maybe gets that thing at the line. Holy moly. And then the 3-wide move on the outside for Cody Nagels got him some positions there at the end, and Baker wins it. Not by very much. Looks like maybe about a quarter of a truck length. Let's back it up and take a look at the wreck that happened out back in the trial. In fact, there was kind of like 2 here. First one there looks like Matt Lee and David Sheets. Does somebody try to make it 3 wide here and just does not work? Let's see. Looks like Sheets jumps to the top. Trying to, yeah, I think Sheets jumped to the top, and then that was an odd look. I got to assume that was netcode. That didn't really look like a block with how sideways Lee's truck got. Yeah, it looked maybe like some netcode there, and then him and David Sheets got up together into the outside wall, and then out back, just more contact. Everybody gets collected. But what a fantastic and crazy finish that we got to see. We got the photo finish, and it was certainly a good race to do it at. Man, oh man, I cannot get over how close these guys were at the line. I thought Ellis maybe got him just a little bit out of line, and it was kind of a good move. Almost like a bump and run at a super speedway, which you certainly don't see often. But Baker was able to hold on for just long enough. If that start-finish line was about 50 feet more, who knows, maybe he wouldn't have got it. But we're going to go get your top 3 in here for interviews. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
I've caught up with our third place finisher tonight. Third place finisher in the championship, Mr. Kenny McCullough Jr. Kenny, you got a copy up in the booth?
Yes, sir. I got you.
Wow, what a race that was to the end, and certainly a lot to digest after that one. And it's a pretty nice payday for you and your teammates. So just kind of take me through how you're feeling.
Man, the race was awesome. One of the best races. I didn't think it was going to go as clean because there was a lot of things that went on the last race. A lot of people were aggravated with each other, but man, everybody did a really good job out there tonight.
Yeah, they did. And kind of take me through the early part of that race. I mean, I'm sure that's got to be a little bit jarring to see everybody get single file early on, and just, kind of take me through the pit cycle and how you got in a position to come home third.
Yeah, I think that was the boringest time I've ever had leading a race for sure. Once I realized everybody was in single file, and I was getting a little bored up there myself, but the plan was just to stay up front all night and try to keep track position.
Yeah, and then obviously one last thing for you there at the end of the race. Could you feel the intensity ramping up? And then obviously, on that last lap, how were you feeling? What were you? What was going through your mind as you tried to figure out where you were going to come home right there?
Well, all my teammates thought it was going to go pretty smooth, about 10 to go, and I told them after that competition caution we had there that it was going to ramp up, and man, it was sketchy, but it was a blast.
Oh, it certainly was. You come home third. It's a heck of a payday for you guys over there at McCullough Motorsports. What an effort by you guys tonight. And while we have you here for a second, anybody you want to thank or shout out?
Yeah, I got to thank them teammates, McCullough Motorsports. They do a good job week in and week out. Got to thank all the family tuning in and watching. Thank y'all for doing the broadcast, and thank Ron for putting this thing on.
All right, well, enjoy that payday. Enjoy that third place finish tonight in the championship, and thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, looks like John Ellis Jr. does just hop in, so we'll go ahead and bring up now your second place finisher. John, this is all set up in the booth. You got a copy?
I got you guys. How's it going?
Good. Well, I'll tell you what, maybe not quite first, but you got first last week. You got second tonight. The payday is still sweet. And if I'm doing the math correctly, just by yourself in the last week, you've made over $900. Tell us about your day here. And, man, it seemed like you guys were so conservative there till the end. What was the game plan tonight?
Yeah, can't complain about the last week or so. And yeah, we had a completely different game plan from the last week. This one just being a longer race. We really just kind of wanted to keep it clean and weren't worried about being up front and controlling the race since there was no points to be gained by leading or stage breaks or any of that. So we just wanted to play conservative and try and be there when it mattered. And I was able to do that. Unfortunately, my teammates were caught up in the wreck and weren't able to be up there to help. So I couldn't really do too much there at the end. I told Baker I was committed to him unless there's a, no-brainer move where I could get out to him, jump outside or something, but worked out. It was stressful those last two laps. Baker had some rear end damage and I was just wobbling them all over the place. I was just doing my best to try and stay as squared up as I can. Not that the last thing I want to do is, spin him out or take, anyone out really. So glad he got the win. Glad he was able to move up at the finish line because I was 280 on water coming through the tri-oval. So I was just hoping I was going to be able to make it there to the end. But good race. Hopefully all the teams are happy. It looks like it was a pretty good payday for us, MBG, and the McCulloughs. So no complaints there.
Yes, certainly when the money can get split three ways, it certainly probably does make everyone happy. And the race tonight overall very clean, gives us a lot of good insight for what we hope to see next season. But again, congrats on the second place finish here tonight, the win last week, over $900 to John Ellis Jr. Before we let you go, is anyone you'd like to thank or shout out?
Yeah, my teammates as always, Jason, Dylan, and Garrett. We're all working together tonight. Unfortunately, Garrett got the short end of the stick. He got caught up in some wrecks and wasn't able to finish up there, but at least we got me and Jason up there in the playoff money. And want to thank you guys for putting on the broadcast. Want to thank everyone for having a clean race. As to be honest with you, I thought this race was going to be a disaster, just with so much money on the line and everyone being greedy. But it was a great race. I mean, to go green for 70 laps was insane. Can't complain there. And lastly, just want to thank Ron for putting on this whole Thunder series, man. It's great. It's my favorite thing to run. I really like being able to race for something each week, have each week count towards something. So love his format. Looking forward to next season.
Sounds good, and we look forward to seeing you next season as well. Thank you for talking to us, John.
Yep. Thank you, guys.
And I'll cut him off a little bit early there, but we're going to bring up your winner now, Matthew Baker. Dawson stands by.
Yeah, I do. Hey, Baker, it's Dawson up at the booth. You got a copy?
What's up, man?
Oh, my gosh. Well, what a moment for you. What a finish. What a race. And first of all, I think the best question to ask is, how are you feeling?
My hands hurt after that one save that I had. I don't know what happened. Whenever I came up through the middle of the corner, it's like I went up like a quarter lane too high maybe, and I went to catch the car, and when I went to catch the car, I was already behind on steering, which never happens in the truck. You know that. I have never seen that happen. I think maybe just the higher track temp got the tires up to temperature, and I don't know. But props to Navarro and for Eberhardt. I mean, Eberhardt ran in the back of me. He had no way, but he still checked up on the outside lane, and Navarro checked up on the middle line. Like that save doesn't happen without them reacting and not just driving through me. So it was all heads up driving by everyone around. But yeah, just after that, I went to the back, regrouped. Matt came back there, and we made the run back at it.
Yeah, and what a run it was for you guys tonight. You guys come away with a pretty decent payday, at least based on what I'm looking at. If I've done my math correctly, it's over $1,000 for you guys tonight. So just kind of, what does this do for you guys? I mean, obviously after the way last week ended for you guys, you came up short. You wanted a big effort tonight, and you get just that. Just kind of take me through how you guys are feeling as a team.
Last week I said some choice words to the mains group, and none of that really held true this race. It was a lot of hot tempers that I had last week, just with what the finish happened and the damage that we had, and stuff that, us as a team put ourselves in that situation. And tonight we executed as a team, and we took care of each other. Both teams did, and there's no other better example than Ellis there at the end, just staying behind me, pushing me all the way to that finish. I mean, I don't get that win without him. Stayed on his back bumper. I had to pull out in the tri-oval, not to block any run, obviously, but he was double red, probably about to blow up. So I'm glad I could get him a second place and at least get the mains into the championship fund as well, because he definitely helped me out there on that restart.
Yeah, you did. It's a good night all around for a lot of different guys. It's a huge payday for you. You are a champion here on Tuesday nights. So while we have you for a second, anybody you want to thank?
Yeah, just first and foremost, thanks to Ron for putting this whole thing on. It was a great league, great season. Really excited to see where we go with the Xfinity car next season. We get the new draft model and the new damage model update. So I think we're going to see these Xfinity cars as one of the best super speedway cars out there. But tonight we really put on a show after the stage break. It was a little bit boring, but everyone's saving their trucks, But just thanks to Martin Sports for them jumping on. If you need sim racing apparel, any type of team jerseys, go out there, check them out. Martin Sports 906.com. They got great gear out there. Thanks to you guys for putting on the broadcast. Can't wait to call a Thursday race again. Thanks to Coasting Thunder, MBG Motorsports, Baker & Son Construction. Thanks to my teammates all season, Matt, Cody. Really ran a clean race. There wasn't any arguing, any bickering. We were all on the same wavelength. Even after the pit stops happened, we had some chaos happen with Sean and with Merck. Just thanks to everyone for having a clean race. It was awesome. Thanks to the family watching back at home. And again, thanks for putting on the broadcast. I can't wait to go back and watch it, boys.
Yeah, absolutely. It was a lot of fun. And, man, congrats. Go enjoy that championship. Enjoy it. Thanks for talking to us, and we'll see you soon.
Thanks, buddy.
Looking at your finishing results here for tonight, Matthew Baker just finished talking to him. Your winner here tonight, John Ellis Jr. finishes second. Going on back to the third, Ken McCall Jr. rounds out your podium. It's Cody Nagels in fourth. Christopher McCall finishes in that fifth position. Jason Main sixth. Daniel Eberhardt in seventh. And rounding out the money positions here tonight for the championship purse is Sean Hill in eighth. Andrew Navarro finishes up ninth. Brock Westmoreland in 10th.
Back a little further, David Sheets finishes 11th tonight. Matt Lee in 12th. John Mulhan 13th. Ryan Bass 14th. Gabe Butler 15th. Mike Davenport 16th. Dylan Jones finishes 17th with Jeff Merck in 18th. Brandon Broadfoot, after all that, finishes in 19th. Mark Vondell rounds out your top 20, and rounding out the field tonight, Garrett Maines.
Well, it was a great season, a phenomenal race here tonight, and I think we heard a couple people, Dawson pre-race, talking about they thought this race would define what we would see going forward, at least here for the Tuesday night Thunder Series. And we saw what we wanted to see, so I'm hoping that's good insight for next season. Going to be a lot cleaner than maybe what we saw at some points throughout this season. And as Baker noted, hopefully going to be back to that Xfinity car. I'm really excited now to see that update as well. If it's anything like what we see from the trucks, but in the Xfinity car, oh my goodness, we're going to have a whole different beast to play with next season. I'm excited for it.
I am too. I selfishly love the Xfinity car. I talk about it on my broadcasts all the time, just how much I adore that car on every track. And so I'm excited to see what it brings. I'll have to do some testing now that the update's out myself and see what we're going to get into next Tuesday. Maybe I'll start making some appearances if it's worth it, because I really do love those cars. And what a way to get our appetite up for next season. What a race tonight.
Well, we appreciate you joining us in the booth as much as you did throughout the season, Dawson. We hope to see you again next season. But on that note, that rounds it out here for me, Austin Green and Dawson Wise on Ghost Racing Network. Until next season, we hope you all enjoyed and have a good night.